Hello friends, welcome back. This video we will discuss some more Para Jumble questions that are generally asked for CAT and other management entrance examinations. As usual, I'm requesting you to attempt the exercise by clicking on the link provided in the description and then watch the video so that you can learn maximum things regarding the techniques that we are generally using for all these kind of questions, and so that you can internalize these techniques and apply these techniques in your actual exam, so that you get correct answers without a problem and within the time provided. So this is the objective of asking you to do the exercise first and then watch the video. We'll straight away go to the questions. The first question is talking about, once you understand the passage, you will realize that it is talking about the what is a body, what is substance, the definition of substance. Substance is something that is included in a body, and that is why, since substance is defined as something that is included in the body, how can you define substance? So, which are the different various definitions of substance, and certain contradictory ideas, or one more contradictory idea is also given. So the passage is discussed in such a manner, or structured in such a manner. So the basic idea for all para jumble questions is to understand what is the essential idea that is given in the sentences, then try to form the logic between the sentences. If you are able to do that, you can easily crack any para jumble question without too much of a problem, because the sentences themselves will give certain clues regarding the connection between the sentences. So your task is to find the clues so that you can connect the sentences. So here, what is the clue here? We know that the passage is talking about the substance. The primary definition of substance is something that is belonging most obviously to body. So this could be a good operating system. Substance is thought to be belonging to bodies. So substance is something that is included in certain bodies. So that is what substance is. Then after that, what we say, that because it is constituted in bodies, any body that contains substance, we call it a substance. That should be the next idea. So what is the idea? We say that not only animals and plants and their parts are substances, but also natural bodies, so here we know that substance is something that is constituted inside bodies. So that is why anything, animals and plants are bodies, so they are called they are parts of substance, and their parts are substances. But natural bodies such as fire and water and earth are also substances. So we can say that B and E form a sentence pair. First we define what is a substance, then we talk about an example, certain examples of substances. Bodies, all natural bodies are the substances, whether they are animate or inanimate. Like animate means animals and plants, and inanimate like fire and water. And then you are taking this idea further by saying that not only this, any thing that is composed of these bodies, or anything that is made up of these natural bodies, can also be called substances. That is why we can say that even things that are either parts of these or composed of these means the bodies. So either parts of these or composed of these means either parts of the bodies or composed of the bodies, like the physical universe and its parts, stars, sun, moon, are called substances. So the first we define what is substance, then we talk about certain examples of substance, then we extend the definition to further enlarge the scope of the substance. That is, not only bodies of animals and plants and bodies of fire and water are called substances, but bodies that are composed of these bodies, they are also like universe, stars, etc. They are also substances. So here BEC can be a sequence that we can form. Then what? Then comes the a different view. What is a different view? But whether these alone are substances, means whatever we have talked till now, means we have talked about bodies which contain substances are called substances. Then we talk about natural bodies. Then we talk about the bodies in the universe. They are all substances. But whether these alone are substances or some of these only are substances, or none of these are substances, but something else are substances can also should also be considered. So we are thinking about other possible definition of substances. So we have formed one definition, then we are thinking of other possible definitions. So that is why uh, after, sorry, here BED, this BD, and here BED, then comes this different idea of C, whether these alone are substances or only some of these are substances, or whether none of these are substances or something else is totally something else which is not defined here. They are substances. That question also to be considered. Then we give an example of that particular contradictory idea or a different view. Something that the limits of the body, that is surface line, point, unit are substances more so than body or the solid. So till now, our earlier definition was that anything that is constituted within a body or within a solid is called a substance. But now we are thinking, we have already talked about whether any other things are called substances or any other definitions are possible for substances. Then we point out one instance or example. We say that the surface line, point, and unit are substances more than the body or the solid. So this is an example of what we are talking about in A. So B, E, D, C, A will very clearly form the sequence. So where B, E, D will talk about the standard definition of substance. Anything that is contained in a body or a solid is a substance. Then we think about an alternate definition and an example of that alternate definition. So BEDCA will very clearly form the logical sequence. Option 4 will be the answer. So in such cases, don't go for this kind of trial and error, because I know many people who are going for trial and error instead of trying to find a logical connection between the sentences. You try to do this, you take each option and try to form a trial and error method. That is going to be too time consuming. It is not going to help you in answers. Only when all other attempts or all other methods are failing or all other techniques are not giving you the answer, then only you should go for this trial and error when you take one option and then try to see whether this forms a logical sequence or not. That should be attempted, because that is going to be definitely time consuming. It will eat away a lot of your time, and it will most of the time it will not help you in arriving at the answer. So that is why you should not do this, or you should do that as a last resort, not as a primary technique. That is something I needed to tell you. So here the answer is very clearly. So once you form the sequence, you have to arrange the sequence in your mind and then see whether it is correct or not. So obviously it is correct. There are no logical inconsistencies here. So we can go to the next question. So the next question is talking about the expansion of the universe. And it is talking about a theory where it says that the universe first started from a single point and started expanding. And when it expanded, it started borrowing energy from to form from the gravitational field to create matter. And this energy or this continuous borrowal lead to widespread expansion. But what happens when any borrowal is happening? You have to repay it. So when you repay that energy, what will happen to the universe? The universe will again go back to a single point, because all that expansion has happened because of the borrowed energy. So once the borrowed energy has to be repaid, the universe will become extinct. So this is the idea. So now you have to form the sentences. So very clearly you can say that this is the first sentence, option D, because it introduces the idea by talking about this theory, no boundary proposal, where universe would have expanded in a smooth way from a single point. So the D is very clearly the first sentence. Then when it expands from in a smooth way, as it expanded, it would have borrowed energy. So how the expansion took place? It would have borrowed energy from the gravitational field to create matter. So this is further extending the theory that is given in the option or statement D. So DA will be the next or the sequence or the sentence pair. Then after DA, what will happen? The universe thus borrowed and expanded at an ever increasing rate. Good. That can, you can say it is a good statement. But what will happen to this statement? So this is the odd man out. See, because we are bringing in economics in here. As any economics could have predicted, the result of all that borrowing was inflation. So can you say that after B, after BA, you can we put B and then E, universe thus borrowed and expanded. So here, no. Why? Because he is bringing in economics to introduce the term called inflation. So what is inflation actually? Inflation is the loss of value of your currency is called inflation. But in this sense, what is happening whenever you borrow things, the inflation means the expansion is happening. So when you talk about from the cosmological point of view, by bringing in an economic term called inflation, he says that any economist will say that the borrowing definitely will lead to inflation. So this is a theory in economics. If you borrow more, it will lead to more money circulating in the market. When more money is circulating in the market, it will lead to loss of value of the money, which is called inflation. So here he says that this kind of borrowal in the field of cosmology also will lead to inflation. So inflation in this sense is expansion. So here any borrowal from the of energy from the gravitational field will lead to expansion. So that is why this will form the next sentence, because we have to say that the universe thus borrowed and expanded at an ever increasing rate. So how this borrowal and expansion is done at an increasing rate, that is stated in option E. Option E says that like in economics, borrowal leads to inflation. Same way, any borrowal of energy from gravitational field leads to expansion. That is why the universe thus borrowed and expanded. It is the statement is not saying that expanded through borrowal. It is saying borrowed and expanded. Means borrowal is leading to expansion. So just like in economics, where borrowal is leading to inflation, in universe, borrowal is leading to expansion. So we have to first talk about the economic theory, then the statement in B. So DAEB will be the sequence, then followed by C, because C talks about the end of the universe. So, like in anything, so when you borrow something, you have to repay ultimately, right? So, here, if you repay, what will happen? Because the expansion is due to the borrower. So, if you repay, all that expansion will come down, or it will contract, or ultimately the universe will end. That is the meaning. So here, fortunately, the debt of gravitational energy or whatever you have borrowed is gravitational energy will not have to be repaid until the end of the universe. So when a point comes when this gravitational energy is repaid by the universe, what will happen? The universe will end. That is the meaning. So that is where DAEBC is the correct sequence, because of the only problem you might have is regarding where to position E. So E has to come after you state the theory, because it will help you to state why borrowal and expansion is done in an ever increasing rate. Borrowal is leading to expansion. So like in economics where borrowal is leading to inflation, in universe also borrowal is leading to expansion. So that is where DAE, BC will be the sequence. Option 1 will be the answer. The result of all that borrowing means the borrowal that is stated here. So all that borrowing is inflation, and just so like in economics, this borrowal is going to lead to expansion at an increasing rate. That is inflation. Inflation means something that is increasing at a very rapid rate. So the value of money is decreasing, or the cost of goods is increasing at a rapid rate is inflation. So it's just like this borrowal and expansion done at an ever increasing rate. And once this borrowed money is repaid, has to be repaid, what will happen? The universe that will have to be repaid means the end of the universe. Right? Comes the correct sequence. All right, question number 3. So this again is talking about a newspaper article, whatever is reported in a newspaper. So if you are familiar with reading newspapers, very easily you can crack this question, because there is a particular structure in which newspaper articles are structured. First, they will talk about certain facts. Then they will talk about the opinions of the involved parties. This is the way newspaper articles are generally structured. First, they will talk about an issue. Then they will talk about the opinion of the parties involved in the issue. So this is how this passage is also structured. So here we are talking about the selection committee. obviously the selection committees of the Pakistan Cricket Board. If you are a familiar of you, if you are a person who have been familiar with the history of Pakistan cricket, then you will know that we are talking about Amir Sohail, who was a former captain of Pakistan cricket team, and Dave Watmore and Azhar Khan, Salim Jafar, Farooq Zaman, all were selectors in the Pakistan cricket board. So even if you don't know, there is not a problem because you can easily crack this once you are familiar with the structure of a newspaper article. So first sentence will be the what here a sentence without any quotes would be the first sentence. So there are two sentences without quotes. One is B, one is D. But D is talking about Sohail's opinion. So this should not be a first sentence. First sentence should be one fact that is given by the newspaper, that is, or a news reported. So the news is that this international players, Azhar Khan, Salim Jafar, and Farooq Zaman will continue on the selection committee. So this is the first statement. So then what the selection committee has made a statement regarding Sohail. So why the selection committee? Because we are talking about the selection committee first, then the Pakistan Control Board. So cricket board, PCB is obviously the Pakistan Cricket Board. So Pakistan Cricket Board is saying in a statement that Sohail's vision and experience will help build a strong team. So once we are talking about the selection committee, then the statement should be about uh, the what the opinion of PCB, because after this it is all the opinion of Sohail. So we have to first talk about the opinion of PCB that is leading to Sohail's opinion, because Sohail's vision and experience will help build a strong team for the World Cup means what? The Pakistani Cricket Board might have appointed Amir Sohail as the captain of PCB. So they are making a statement that Sohail's vision and experience will help build a strong team. So that is why C should be the next statement. So the constitution of the selection committee is reported by the news article first. Then the news article talks about the opinion of PCB regarding the appointment of Sohail as the captain. So Sohail's vision, they expect Sohail's vision and experience to help build a strong team. So this is why PC will form a sentence pair. The pair then comes Sohail's opinion, because all the remaining sentences are opinions made by Sohail. So what should be the first opinion? His main challenge, because he is saying that his main challenge would be to strengthen the number of backup players. So that should be the main, or the next sentence. It is the main challenge or something that he considers to be very very important. Then what? See, strengthening the number of backup players is his first priority, and he says that we have to increase the pool of players. So further details about, so number of backup players means the pool of players, or increasing the number of players available for playing in the team is the backup players. So here we have to increase the pool of players and also to increase the fitness. So he is further elaborating whatever is stated in option B. So E will be the next statement, because it further elaborates what he has stated about his primary objective or his main priority, that is to improve the number of backup players. So that is further elaborated here. Then he talks about another opinion that he has, that Dave Watmore. Watmore means Dave Watmore was a coach of the Pakistani cricket team. He has given a lot of input, and I do have a few things, but you have to look at the comfort level of others, and you can't simply do what you want to do. So this is another opinion that Sohail is making. So that should be the last statement. So first we talk about the a particular news or about the structure of the selection committee, then about the appointment and PCB's opinion regarding the great captain, then the captain's opinion, what is his main priority, how he is uh, trying to do that, then something else he talks about. So B, C, D, E, A will be the correct sequence for this particular question. This you can crack very easily if you are familiar with reading newspapers and you know how newspapers generally report news. So this is something, or this is an advantage you will have of reading newspapers. A lot of advantages you will have in your exam by reading newspapers. This is one additional advantage. All right, then the fourth question. Fourth question is talking about an amendment made to the constitution and what was the existing situation or what was the prevailing situation, why this amendment was required, and what are the changes made in the amendment because of certain opinions that have come up. So all these things are given in the passage. So this is again, if you are an established or an accomplished reader, this becomes a cakewalk for you. You can very easily answer this question without too much of a problem. See, for all the reading comprehension questions in CAT and other management exams, the primary skill is your reading ability. If you are a good reader and if you are able to read and understand English passages without a problem, then whether para jumbles or para summaries or critical reasoning or reading comprehension, everything becomes very, very easy for you. You can easily answer the questions. So the primary and the most important skill is your reading ability. So that is why I keep on telling candidates to improve their reading ability, without which whatever else you do in your VRC, they are not going to be very helpful unless you have the accomplished reading skill. So right. So here, what is the very clearly what will be the uh, structure? See, all these are containing prepositions. So this cannot be first sentences. However, additional provisions were incorporated. So we can very clearly see that option A will be the first sentence because it talks about the current provision to Article 3 was introduced by the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. So we are talking about an amendment that has been done to the third article of Indian Constitution. So the current provision to Article proviso means the current provision or the current amendment or the current change, you can say, or whatever current conditions that are available in Article 3 were introduced by the Constitution Amendment. Then what will be the next sentence? Very clearly, the option C. Why? Before this amendment, the president could only introduce an amendment bill in parliament after referring it to state legislatures concerned for their view. So very clearly, you say that what was the condition before the amendment that is talked about in A. So AC will be the sentence pair. So before that amendment, the president could not introduce any constitutional amendment only after referring to the state legislatures. Then what will be the next sentence? This was a time-consuming process. What the referral to the state legislatures was a time-consuming process, allowing states to vacillate in responding. By states, why it was a time-consuming process? Because the states can need not respond to the central government's direction to give an opinion within a particular time period. So states can vacillate means a delay in giving any decision. That is called vacillation. Vacillation means in a state of indecision or not taking any decision. So the state legislatures will vacillate, as a result of which the government of India's efforts to change the constitution will be frustrated or they will not be able to do the amendments. So that is why the president could only, before the current amendment was introduced, the president could make any amendment to bill only after the getting the opinion of the states. But the states, they were not required to give an opinion in a time-bound manner, as a result of which the efforts of government of India were frustrated. So ACB will become a very clear sequence. Then what? Then what? However, to treat the states visas carrying yearly formalness. So we are talking about the states not responding to the center's directives in a time-bound manner, as a result of which this amendment was introduced. So obviously, what is happening? This amendment might be talking about doing away with the consent or the doing away with the opinion or referral to the state legislatures, but if you do not take the consent or the if you take it as a merely formal thing, or if you think that the state's views are not really important and only formal value is there, as had been widely suggested, it will render the constitutional process of consultation entirely nugatory. Nugatory means without any value or entirely meaningless. So, if we introduce this constitution amendment bill, where obviously this referral to the state legislatures might have been done away with, the another problem that will come is that the constitutional process of consultation with state governments becomes a meaningless exercise in matters of national importance. So, what is the meaning here? in matters of national importance, the state legislatures also need to be consulted. So if we introduce the bill like this the views of the state governments become merely formal, or they will not have any value. As a result of which, the constitutional process of consultation will become meaningless. So this is the we are introducing a problem that could arise because of the bill in this manner. So then comes the last sentence. Additional provisions were incorporated in the amendment procedure that laid down mandatory consent of majority state legislatures wherever the amendment involved significant changes to the constitution. So this is the final result. So previously, whenever any amendment was required, as the state legislatures had to be consulted, but they will not respond in a timely fashion. So this will frustrate the efforts of the central government. As a result of which, the current provision was the amendment bill was introduced. But when you introduce the bill, or when you have the bill like this, it will make the consultation process meaningless. In matters of national importance, state governments had to be consulted. That is why additional provisions were incorporated in the amendment procedure. So whatever amendment procedure was there in Article 3, additional provisions were included in that. So that mandatory consent of state legislatures are required in cases where the amendment included significant changes to the constitution. That is why A, C, B, D, E will be the correct sequence. So again, it is only a question of accomplished reading or good reading and observation. If you are able to read and understand various type of articles, this becomes a very easy thing for you. Otherwise, it becomes difficult for you. So everything is testing your reading skill and nothing else. All right. The last question. Again, if you are a good reader, simple thing. So we are talking about one person called Dev. His full name is not given here, and how he transformed himself from a person who was associated with tiger conservation to a person who worked start with conserving the rice varieties in India. This is given here. So how it happened? The rice varieties, because of the Green Revolution, the local rice varieties were not being conserved or preserved, they were being ruined because these local rice varieties, if they are not sown for 2 years, what will happen? It will get extinct. So this kind of extinction of local rice varieties were happening in India. So this person called Dev, he observed, or he read an article regarding this, and then he understood that nothing is being done to conserve the rice varieties. So he switched career from being a tiger conservationist to a rice conservationist. This is the idea given in the passage. So very clearly, what can be the first sentence? B. The rice man that Dave is today means Dave is now very well known as a person who is a rice man, or a person who has conserved a lot of local rice varieties. So his journey started from a startling statistic created in 1995. Since it started in 1960, what is the statistic? Since it started in 1965, the Green Revolution ruined 90% of local rice varieties. So this was a statistic that he read in 1995. This person called Dev. So, and what happened after that? Then what is yeah, what was happening? So further explanation of the statistic is given in option C. Hundreds of heirloom varieties were dying every year because a seed dies if it was left unsown for 2 years. So this is what was happening after the Green Revolution. So local varieties of rice were not being sown. So since they were not being sown, it was dying. So this further explanation of the statistic is given in option C. So this is definitely the next sentence. Then the reaction of Babe to whatever the statistic he read. So he was working in World Wildlife Fund at that time, and he realized that huge sums were spending on saving tigers, but nothing to salvage rice varieties. So he understood that. Since he was working in World Wildlife Fund, he knew that the government was spending a lot of money on saving tigers. But from the statistic, he understood that there was nothing was done to protect the rice varieties. So this is the next sentence. Then what? Once he realized that he wanted to do something to protect the rice varieties, so he quit WWF in 1996 and embarked on the rice route. So embarked on the rice route, he started uh, uh, pursuing a different career for conservation of local rice varieties. So B, C, D, A will be the sequence. Then comes what India's thriving rice legacy. So right now we have a very thriving legacy of different varieties of rice, and this is partly due to the selfless acts of such people. This is very important. So this is what makes it as a concluding sentence, because if these such people were not there, this it could have been an opening sentence also. But since such is given here, this means that we are talking about people like them. So this is because this is what makes E as a concluding sentence. So B, C, D, A, E. Otherwise, E can also be an opening sentence if this such was not there. So that is why you need to be very careful in reading these kind of sentences. So he was not an agriculturist. Agriculture means anything, anyone who is related with agriculture is an agriculturist. So Dave was initially not an agriculturist, but because of his selfless act, he helped in developing the rice legacy of India. So that is why the concluding sentence is, it is because of the selfless acts of such people like Dev that India is has a thriving rice legacy. So B, C, D, A, E is the very clear sequence. So that's all for now. I hope you have had some or got some learning points from the discussions that we have conducted on the exercise. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have found the content to be useful, so that it will motivate me to come out with further videos on all CAT topics. Thank you. Bye bye.